Alrighty. Hey everybody. How are we tonight? I'm tired. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, very sleepy. Oh, Hayashi's here. I was scared. I didn't see him there for a second.
Yeah.
Hayashi, you drawing Otto as well? You guys let us know if the Wu-Tang fan is too loud.
You can't hear it. Noise compression.
I'm being blasted.
I can go get the other fan. I just didn't feel like it.
That did absolutely nothing, but go on.
Alright, how are you guys?
It'll be a fun little gauge to see how Monday streams do versus Friday ones.
Yeah, and this is literally the only day this week that Brad and I's schedule could line up.
Yeah, because you actually have Friday off, I believe.
Yeah, I'm off Friday. We both just got off from work, so you can still see I just got out of the shower. My hair's still wet.
I did not. I changed clothes and headed straight here.
Oh, well, Brad didn't take a shower. He stinks.
I'll do one later. But yeah, it's Friday. I will be freezing my ass off in the Smoky Mountains camping. So
yeah, it should be cold.
Oh yeah, it's supposed to get freezing temperatures at night. So possible wintry mix, which will be fun.
Yep, and we just got Corey just messaged us. He won't be joining the chat tonight. He had some personal stuff come up, so go wild.
Yeah, there's I guess the title of Class Clown is up for grabs tonight.
But yeah, I'm expecting this to be less people in here because it is Monday night, the night after Halloween.
David Finch is streaming.
Everything's against us tonight.
Okay,
so.
If it's just us and Hayashi, it's still gonna be a good time.
Hayashi, you okay hanging out with just us tonight?
Yeah. And did whoever else can come back and listen to any announcements or anything we have.
Yeah. I might wait and do maybe I should just do the questions. I was gonna ask you the questions I got asked. You
can do them while you're drawing, or
well, I'll read them. So
do both.
Yep.
Nothing wrong with drawing Spidey Hayashi. He's always a good go-to.
Yeah, love Spidey. I was thinking on the way here that as much as I love drawing Spidey, we haven't done just a Spidey stream. I did like the 375 cover and stuff, but
it's almost like you have a Spider-Man auction piece you could finish.
It is. You're right.
Support our local comic shop that supports us.
Almost like that. All right. Well, you know what? Since this may be a little more of a chiller stream, I may just jump into drawing.
Yeah, go for it. We can just start talking stuff because
the only thing I really wanted to talk about was the possibility of a Patreon.
Yeah, that was on my list of things.
I kind of want to gauge that with everybody, with our normal supporters, and there's some folks like Aaron and Matt said they'd be here. Some other folks said they'd be there, so maybe everybody's just getting off from work. So
Aaron has been feeling unwell, so he might.
Yeah.
And also, he's 6 hours ahead of us, so it's early morning. He always goes out of his way for us, which is good.
He does. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and jump into drawing since
got your blue lines laid out.
Yeah, I ran home and dropped in the blue lines. We're drawing Doc Ock today.
Of course, you can barely see.
Hey, Matt. There you are.
Yeah, there's Matt.
How are you, buddy?
Matt, I got your books over here so you can scale them out and send them to you. So they'll be there soon. I got to sign one before I leave, but is this somebody requested Otto?
Chris, Star Wars Chris.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a fan of Octavius.
Yeah, he was like, I want Doc Ock, but I want him classic, original Doc Ock. I was like, well, that's the only way to do Doc Ock.
Yeah, I enjoyed when he was kind of like Iron Lung Doc Ock during World's End and stuff, or I think it was called
World's End.
But where it was kind of this thing where like some disease was ravaging his body, and also Spidey had kicked his ass his whole life.
Yeah.
And so his body was just deteriorating, and he was in the raft just dying. Like he was on his last leg, and that's when he did the body swap to become the superior Spider-Man. But as cool as it always is, like we were talking about before we started, is my favorite Otto is lime green and yellow, or I like it when they show him just with like when they want to do him more like I guess serious or like street view is when he just has the arms up to like his chest, like his sternum,
Yeah.
and then he just has normal pants on underneath it. It kind of makes him a little more mad scientist, a little less comic book hero, a lot like Alfred Molina's when he first became Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, which was the only thing I have against him because I think Alfred Molina's Doc Ock might be one of the best portrayals of any character really. I thought he did a really good job. The only thing he didn't have is he didn't have the kind of rivalry with Spidey because something we can talk about later is I like how Doc Ock is his origin story is not too far off from Spidey's.
Yeah.
There's a few differences, like something even like Spidey, of course, is when we talked about like superhero origins, he is an accident. He's the accident compared to destiny or creation. And that accident is where he's like, this could have been anybody, but I'm the one who got it, so I've got the responsibility. Where Doc Ock was created by himself. And through that creation, he now has a sense of superiority that he's carried his entire life. And you couple it with his origin of like Spidey, of course, got his powers by accident and then had his, he had a little bit of a wild side for a little bit, but he had Uncle Ben, who brought him back, who taught him, of course, power and responsibility. But Otto had an abusive father and a mother who wouldn't stand up to him, and then he was picked on his whole life, saying like both him and Peter were both picked on in school, but he didn't get the reprieve of becoming Spider-Man in the middle of, like his preteen years. He grew up jaded and then just decided, well, I'm smarter than everybody and I'm going to prove it. And he had that chip on his shoulder that only recently went away, but now is back because I guess he's back to being normal Otto now. But like when he was Superior Spidey, he learned a lot and it was really fun, really good. It shows their parallels and it's something that's kind of tricky. You Justin's in chat.
Hey buddy, how's it going?
When you always want to be careful when you create something. The Marvel movies in particular actually fall into it a lot, where they have their hero and their villain is the hero plus one, where it's like we're just gonna have the bigger version. So we had the Iron Man, Ironmonger. You had the Hulk, the Abomination. They and even like the Venom, the first Venom movie was like, here's Venom and here's I don't know
A bigger Venom.
Yeah, it was bigger symbiote. I mean, who was I forgot who it was.
It was
Who was it supposed to be?
oh my god, it's not Lasher. Riot.
Right. Eesh, okay.
Definitely wasn't my Riot. Hashtag not my Riot.
Yeah, saying not my right, not my any symbiote, but there's always a it's a tricky line when you decide to have a villain who mirrors your hero, because then you have to get into what makes him different, and you have to make it interesting enough. You can't just be like, oh well, I'm gonna make the Atlas Beetle and then there's the Hercules Beetle who's just bigger. You have to have a reason that splits them. I mean, it's even fun because they're both. I mean, Doc Ock has 8 appendages. Spidey, well, spiders have 8, but he doesn't have 8 normally.
At one time.
He did it one time. Oh, I love 6-arm Spidey.
That nonsense stuff is awesome.
Yeah, I love 6-arm Spidey. I've got the What If issue from several years, from decades ago now, where it was what if Spider-Man kept his 6 arms,
nice.
Or his 4 extra arms, I guess. But I think they always did that really well with Spidey and Otto, is to show like they're both super tech nerds. They're both one of those things that would probably be best friends if they met in high school. Yeah. And they would have been on like the chess team together, and they would have battled. One of them would have been valedictorian, one of them would have been salutatorian, and came up together, made all these inventions, but instead Otto had nobody. And even Peter, when he was getting picked on, like Gwen still, or he met Gwen college, I think, but he still had Harry, who Harry was always cool with him, even though he's like the rich snob kid. And so he had a good little, like he had a group. Even Flash later became his friend.
Absolutely.
They did some really great stuff where Flash was in Remender is his run as Venom. Flash had to confront kind of one of his victims of his bullying, and at this time Flash is like an alcoholic war veteran who doesn't have legs, and he's coming to grips with it, and the guy, he's trying to apologize to the guy, and the guy just won't let it go. He won't forgive him, and so he talks to Pete about it, and Pete's like, he's like, I forgave you. It's okay. He'll come around, and he's like, well, I mean, do you think back on it, did it hurt you? And he's like, it still hurts me, but I forgave you. And it's just like, oh man, picking on Pete really got to him. And once again, fun stuff. You don't let people, you don't give people an out of their trauma. You find a way for them to get through it.
Yeah.
But Otto is interesting in that way to me, because instead of getting bit by something, he created his own power. And that's, I guess, where I got on my tangent, is the one thing that like Alfred Molina's Otto or that I'm not a huge fan of, and I get it, it makes for a really good movie plot, is that his arms were controlling him.
Yeah.
Like his arms AI took over his body. And I feel like Dan Slott in the Clone Conspiracy, of course, the Jackal, aka Ben Reilly this time, woo, clones, he
you like clones?
Yeah, just a little. Yeah, like I want to make a meme where it's like Brad's at his first Marvel meeting, and it's like Joe Quesada's like, Brad, we want you to wrote Spider-Man. What kind of story you got? And I'm just gonna cut to the final scene of Attack of the Clones, where all the clones are out like marching, and like that's what I'm gonna do. Just millions of clones. I probably would create a new Spider clone if I could. But there's the whole thing with Alfred Molina's his arms controlling him is interesting, because it's kind of like, it's almost one of those things where it controlled him, but also really just set his ego free. So it let him lose all morality and just go and focus on his work, what he wanted. But in the Clone Conspiracy, the Jackal has found a way through New You to basically revive all these people. And it's something like the Jackal used to do, where he'd clone people, but it's more, he found a better way to do it. So he's bringing all these people back to life and all these villains, and he's reformed them all. And excuse me, he revives Otto, and Otto comes out, and there's actually a great scene that plays out, because he's going to revive Otto, but Otto's dead body last had Peter's consciousness in it. So Otto's body, or Otto's consciousness, is like in this little device running around, has to battle that one, and he comes out and he beats the little bit of consciousness of Peter's left, and he comes out and he kind of talks to Ben, and they're going back and forth having their little villain dialogue, and he's like, hey, I brought something for you, and he turns and there's his arms, and he's just kind of standing there, and Ben's like, Otto, aren't you gonna go get him? And he goes, no, I don't go to my arms, they come to me. And he summons them with his head, and they kind of crawl over and attach to him. And I thought that might have been Dan Slott's playful way of like throwing the finger to the idea that his arms are what made him evil instead of his ego. That being said, I love like when he meets Pete in that that movie, how they're like super cool and friends, and like he's teaching him about love and how his responsibility has like his first, like, oh yeah, Dr. Connor says you're brilliant, he also says you're lazy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of this thing about like Peter's got to learn to balance his life, which is the whole theme of that movie.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, a little, but man, everybody can chime in and tell me what they think, because we got more people. We get an active chat going.
Yeah.
What's your favorite superhero fight scene? And I gotta say, man,
in
all
comics
these
or movies or both?
Oh, just in like comic book movies, because Spidey and Doc Ock's fight in Spider-Man 2 is exceptional.
Yeah.
It holds up just from a standpoint of how it flows, how it starts with him robbing the bank. Mark can always say it's the best because he's robbing a bank and he's taking bags and they're full of gold coins, and you're just like, that's so comic booky.
That's so Steve Ditko Stanley.
Yeah, and then he's he's got a good thing, so he's throwing those around and ripping the hands off the clock, while he's also got Aunt May.
Yeah.
And that might be the other diversion is in the books, of course. In the comics, Otto tried to marry Aunt May at a certain point, and that was kind of,
Aunt May loved her some Doc Ock.
that was kind of the wacky side of comics for a while,
sure.
But it turned into a thing where Otto now has this like deep respect and kind of a little amorous love for Aunt May. But there was during the uh, during the go down swinging, Dan Slott's final story where the Red Goblin was like wreaking havoc. Otto swooped in as he was in the he took a clone body of Peter's and inhabited it to and that's when he was the second form of Superior Spider-Man. But he came in and protected Aunt May and saved her from the Red Goblin killing her, and that's when Spidey kind of like forgave him and let him go like to San Francisco and do his thing. But I always thought that was funny that he liked Aunt May.
Yeah.
Like, so in the movie he wasn't so good, but that was cool because Aunt May got to hit him with her umbrella, and
I
once
love
again
that.
super comic booky. And then I like Spidey, you know, of course, catching the clock handle, and he's catching debris as it falls so it doesn't hurt people. And even going into the subway, super cool. And I always loved when those guys, like, this guy has 4 massive metal appendages that have been ripping the city apart. And they're like, if you want to get Spider-Man, you gotta go through me. And he's like, okay,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, that's like, he was like a kid when they're like, hey, you get candy, but you gotta knock this paper pinata apart. Like, yeah, game, let's do this. Like, this is
Like
even
right
hard.
now? Yeah.
It's probably harder getting into a plastic bag of candy. That was a great scene.
That scene holds. I mean, actually, a lot of the CGI in that movie
Yeah, no,
holds
and
up pretty well.
it's funny because some of the stuff is just like, I feel like it's like almost artistic choices where like when he's first showing up and he's doing like the doom, doom, like almost like the T-Rex
Yeah.
from Jurassic Park, and they turn and like there's this woman in like an early 2000s like low-rise jeans, like halter top, and she just like screams,
I
and it's
love
just
it.
so it's kind of, that's the thing, is some of the cinematography isn't timeless, but the rest of it's pretty darn fun. So it's my favorite of the 3, and definitely really the only one I watch. But
Yeah, absolutely.
other than the only thing that brings it down is Harry Osborn, and because Mark and I have an ongoing joke where we try to throw anything where, because he's like, they're at like Peter's birthday party and they're trying to have a good time, and he's like, you know who enjoyed birthdays? My dad, until Spider-Man killed him. And he's like, all right, well, let's cut the cake. You know who enjoyed cake? My dad, before Spider-Man killed him. Like, all right, dude, you're bringing down every, and like, so whenever we go, so they're like, we'll go to like, hey Mark, you on your way to Transformers? Like, I would. You know who enjoyed Transformers? Norman Osborn, before Spidey killed him. Like, and so it's just like, he was so hateful. Like, it was such a good idea, the revenge plot. I mean, I liked it, but I just, they needed another line for him. Give him something else.
Hayashi, I agree. The Electro and Spider-Man fight. You're talking about. I assume you're talking about from Amazing Spider-Man.
So leaving out Green Goblin because yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing is, I remember watching. I'm not a fan of the two Amazing
Not
movies,
at all.
not at all. But in the end, like, I don't think Electro was done badly. I like how he was a super loser, kind of like, he was like, Spider-Man needs me. He needs me. Like, he was so happy that, like, I mean, who of us have? It's like your celebrity. Like, if Scoot's going by and David Finch like, thanks man, you really saved the day. And Scoot's like, David Finch needed me.
David Finch
needed me. And then him falling into that vat of electric eels. Once again, super comic book.
Very comic book.
Love it. And even some of like his lines and some of his, it was a good idea, but then I think once again they did the same thing Spider-Man 3 did. Is they tried to pull too many in. They should have just focused on Electro instead of bringing in Green Goblin or bringing in Harry at all.
Yeah, because that was not a goblin.
Yeah, oh my gosh. And then I don't know, man. Like, have you ever seen the screen tests they did of the Green Goblin before they went with the metal one? They look so good. It's creepy.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know, man. I think we'll see.
Even in Amazing, the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, the lizard fight was fun, where they're fighting in the classroom.
I wish he had his snout, but I love the guy who played Lizard. He's great. Ever since we saw him in The Replacements.
Yeah, good movie.
Yeah. But he I don't know, I think all of them have good parts, and they just kind of, maybe it's, they didn't really know what feel they were going for. And like, I will say the crackhead on a flying board. He was just a guy on a hoverboard at the mall. Like the Amazing movies, I think fell into the same problem as like the X-Men movies or Venom, or is they felt like they were trying to make a real world movie and just put superheroes in it, where like the MCU has a comic feel to the entire universe.
Yeah.
And it's something that kind of made me feel a little alienated. The original Raimi trilogy, though, definitely felt comic booky.
Comic book.
So I really I don't have as much issue with its universe, because I think that dude had a feel for it. He knew what he wanted. He went for it, and it landed. If some things didn't so much, like you also got to think that man was, other than like a few comic book movies, he was basically inventing the genre.
He was the first one doing the big cinematic.
Yeah, and I was about to say there were some other stuff, because there was a Captain America movie that was not awesome years and years ago. But I mean, like that, the Fantastic Four and stuff like that, like there were a few things, but he was really blazing a trail on his own.
Yeah.
And so you got to give him credit for what he did. That being said, Spider-Man 3 is a catastrophe. There, once again, good points do look just like Sandman.
Absolutely, just like Sandman.
I just didn't like. I never got like I grew up watching Smallville. Love Smallville. Watched it with my dad. And in it, the red kryptonite is what caused Clark Kent to act out. Once again, it's the one that unleashed his ego. It let him do what he wanted, be selfish, suppress his hero instinct. But like they did the same thing with the symbiote, and I was just like, man, like you didn't need to do that. I don't like that whole scene is awkward and terrible for a reason. Like, it's, why was Peter Parker acting like that? And once again, too many villains. I think what they should have done is planned it like it was gonna be 4 movies, and you have it the post-credit scene, if the MCU was around and you were doing post-credit scenes, is Spider-Man ripped the suit off and Eddie Brock praying that God to kill Peter Parker, and the Venom symbiote jumping on him. And then you got the next movie to set that whole thing up. But instead we got like 30 seconds of it, and you're like, man, I'm just not feeling it. I think he should, and like, go for Grace. I mean,
that was the worst pick for Eddie Brock. Get out of here.
Yeah, like, I love how I want to know how the casting went on that, where you're like, hey, Eddie Brock, let's bring up the pictures of him. Okay, well, let's see. They always show him working out. He's a buff guy. Eric Foreman from That 70s Show.
The skinniest guy.
The skinniest guy in history. That's like going, all right, man, we need to cast strong guy for X Factor. Do you think Michael Cera's free? Like no. Yeah. It was strange. Even then, I still, like, when he was actually Venom for what little time he was decently weird and creepy enough. It's just, once again, he was just skinny Spider-Man, though.
Yeah. I still have only seen that movie once, when we saw it in theaters.
So I saw it in theaters. So you got to remember, that movie came out the same year as Iron Man.
Which blows my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like it wasn't. It seems like you're watching like 2 different decades of movies. But then Justin said picking me for Eddie Brock would have made more sense.
Absolutely. Negative 50% sense.
But God, I forgot what was going on. I don't know, but those movies just kind of a catastrophe. Yeah, I was getting into Iron Man, and I'd only seen it that once in theaters. I was like, I can never watch this again. Then we were doing when we still did drink and watch, where we would pick a bad movie and drink. We watched Spider-Man 3, and I hadn't seen it since then.
Yeah.
And oof, was it bad? And it was tough to watch. Now, the only scene, of course, we gave a moment of silence when Stan came on, because you have to, but it was just, there's a whole like 40-minute section they could have cut out of that movie and it would have been fine. Like, why is he dancing around and singing in a jazz club?
Although it did give Spider-Verse a funny scene.
Oh yeah, they make fun of that, yeah. In Spider-Verse, the comic series, not Into the Spider-Verse, the movie, there's a scene where there's like all the spider totems are fighting the inheritors, and two Spider-Men are talking, and they're like, they're talking about, hey, did you see that guy with 6 arms? Like, oh yeah, did you not go through that phase? And they're kind of making jokes about all of Spider-Man's history. And one of them's like, I don't know if you believe this, but that guy over there looks just like Topher Grace, and like, or it looks just like Tobey Maguire, and it's like this funny little joke that he's there too.
I never read any of the Spider-Verse books.
They're super fun. In Spider-Verse, what's even cooler is they teased the Spider-Verse like 4 years before it happened in Scarlet Spider by Christopher Yost. Super cool, because there's just like a scene when Kane Parker, the Scarlet Spider at the time, becomes the Other, and willingly accepts the Other and becomes the Other, because there's only one Other in the multiverse, and he becomes it. They show a scene that shows Earth. It's like Earth like 0001 or something, and it's Lumor. It's where they, or not Lumor. It's where the Inheritors are from, and there's just a guy sitting in the shadows in like in a room full of skulls, and it says, "The Others ascended. Let the call begin." And I was like, I don't know what that is, but that sounds fun. And then later, you go back in the Spider-Verse, you realize the Inheritors are coming, Morlun included, are all coming for them.
Morlun? He's scary.
Morlun's an Inheritor. Yeah, he's one of them. He's the strongest for sure. Well, I think technically the father's supposed to be, gosh, what's his name? I don't know. They all have weird vampire names. But, yeah, super cool. Because I remember also when they started teasing the Spider-Verse, because they built it up over with a few things, like the original sin of Amazing Spider-Man at that time is introduced Silk, and created, or was tied into the Spider-Verse. And then there's a scene in Superior Spider-Man where Superior just disappears for like, you know, they show him at the beginning of an issue, and then he reappears, and he's in a different pose, and like, what the heck was happening? It ends up that during that entire time was when he was gone. Like, he was pulled into the future, and so he could be part of the Spider-Verse crossover event. And it's great, because I remember when they were advertising it, because it ends on, like, pretty sure Superior Spider-Man ended on issue 32, and then they were advertising issue 33, he's back, and I was just like, yeah! Like, I was super pumped.
Superior Spider-Man was so fun.
Yeah, it's definitely, I liked it because, one, like, I remember reading, I want to say it was Spider-Man 700, where he let me see, I believe I got rid of that issue.
Did you really?
Yeah, I just gave away comics. Yeah, so Spider-Man 700 is the culmination of like that run of slots, and in it, like, I love the episode, the issue before Cap is on the raft, and Otto Octavius starts to go, Peter Parker, and he's like, oh crap, he knows who Spider-Man's secret identity is. And then Spider-Man shows up, and he goes to see Otto, and he's like, Peter Parker. He's like, no, I'm Peter Parker. And Otto's like, no, I'm Peter Parker. And like Spidey leans in. He's like, I know, I took your body, and you'll be dead soon. You have to realize I took it. And it's like this whole like, oh my god, Otto swapped bodies with him, and it was this really thing where like this really cool thing where you're like, how's Spidey gonna get back? And Spider-Man is in Otto's body trying to do this entire like he's trying to get his body back. He's trying to be the hero, save the day, because he knows that like what damage can Otto do in his body. And then at the end, Spidey loses, and I remember like, I don't like this.
Yeah,
the hero doesn't lose. Spidey, what the hell? And they had a great scene where like he put some of his memory into Otto and taught him about like power and responsibility, of course, and it led to Superior Spider-Man. And I like it because in that, Otto had Pete's sense of responsibility and that guilt that came along with it, but he still did things his own way. And like when he killed Massacre, I mean, Massacre's like, oh, I surrender after killing 16 people. And Spidey's like, yeah, no, I just shot him. And it's one of those things where, of course, we're all watching it knowing there's no way Peter Parker's gonna be gone for more than a year or two.
Yeah.
There's no way they're gonna let Otto keep his body for. It's not gonna be one of those things where you're like, dang, in my day, Otto wasn't Spidey. You know,
Yeah.
it was a temporary thing. So the fun came from, one, you didn't know how he was going to react, and two, you had to figure out he was really wrecking Peter's life, by making it better in his own, making it superior in his own image. And Peter was going to have to deal with the fallout, and it was really fun. I liked how he had to deal with the fallout of it. I like he created Parker Industries. He got Peter a doctorate, and all this stuff that made him have to deal with different stuff. He came back to a complete different sense of power and responsibility, and it played out super well. And then it kind of led Otto down his path for the next several years. I know he was just recently in the Sinister Wars that Spencer wrote, and I just haven't brought myself to read it yet. But last I saw him, Christos Gage wrote the Superior Spider-Man series that just recently only ran for 12 issues, unfortunately. Great one. Opens up with them fighting Terrax, which is super fun. One of those classic Spidey things where Spidey, I love a good Spider-Man story when he's punching outside of his weight.
Yeah.
Like, sure, Spidey's super strong and all this, but like, he shouldn't fight Silver Surfer. Surfer's too strong, but then like, he famously beat the hell out of Fire Lord. And so it was cool. He gave him a different Herald of Galactus that he needed to scrap with this time. And it kind of once again gave Otto the same like punching outside of his weight class fun idea, and he had to use his different one because he had like,
hey Chris, what's up?
He had a few of like these like former like low level villains who did his like bidding to help him, and then he had Anna Marie helping him too, and so it was a super fun series. But in the end, there was a thing in Spider-Geddon where one of the spiders from another universe was Norman Osborn, and Norman had got the 6 arms out of it, and he was evil. Like they brought him in trying to be part of Superior's strike team to go kill the Inheritors, but he got out of line, and Otto sent him packing. And so dude left, and he later showed up he showed up in the 616 to take down the Superior Spider-Man. And they got into this thing where like Otto couldn't beat him with the like mix of morality that he had gotten from like inhabiting the same body as Peter. And so he made a deal with Mephisto to erase all of Spider-Man's influence in him and return him to his regular body. So he went back to being completely Otto. He served Norman. It was awesome. But like he had his arms back and his like tentacles, and was crushing his bones and like naming them as he did them. And then because he had 6 arms, he's like, yeah, you have this many extra bones, and I'm cracking all of them. And it's just like brutal. But there were some great scenes in there. Like he, I think after Terex like destroyed part of the city, he was, and Marconi made him stay and help do like cleanup. He was supposed to be a hero. He's supposed to save people, and he had to like he helped save a kid, and the kid's like, hey, my mom's down there, and he found his mom dead, and it was really tough. And they show a scene, and it's just like, I think it's just like 8 panels on one page, or maybe just 4 long panels, where Superior goes over and talks to him, and he's just kind of like, there's no dialogue, and you can see like him telling the kid, and the kid like crying and holding. Really great. And he like tried to like stay in touch and mentor the kid for a while, and when he found out he was really Otto, it like broke the kid's heart. It was really good stuff that I think was unfair that he got canceled. How she says, I saw a thing on Instagram a couple of days ago where people were complaining that Marvel was hard on Spider-Man, making his life a living hell, and I sat back saying, have you read a comic?
It's true.
So yeah, Spidey's always down on his luck. There's some degree, like, I didn't like where Nick Spencer took it, where he knocked him back to being like almost just like right out of college, where actually he was in college because he was going back trying to get his doctorate that they took away at the beginning, but he was also super broke, and he was living in an apartment by himself, and it was just a bunch
he couldn't
of
come up
stuff.
with his own plot, so he just rehashed it.
Yeah, so it felt kind of like a rehash. Felt like we'd been there. But you're right. Spidey is supposed to be down on his luck. There is a, in JMS's run of Amazing Spider-Man, there's one where when Peter goes out of town, and he's trying to, I believe it's when he's trying to rekindle his relationship with Mary Jane, and he forgets to like pay a bill, so he comes back to like no power, no hot water, none of that. And then he's like, oh yeah, and while I was out I forgot to buy my lottery ticket before I leave, play the same 7 numbers, and my numbers came up while I was out of town. It was like,
Oh
that
my
was
God.
such a just Spidey moment where like he plays the same numbers every week, and the one week he forgets to buy them is when he wins or when his numbers come up, and it's just like,
That's heartbreaking.
yeah, that's definitely Spidey. There's a great scene in the New Avengers when Bendis' New Avengers where they're it's like Luke Cage has the Avengers mansion he runs it out of, and there's a bunch of them hanging around, and I forget who it is. Maybe it's Victoria Hand comes in and she's passing out paychecks, and she's like, hey, here's your paycheck for being an Avenger, blah 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 blah. And Spidey's like, hey, where's mine? And they're like, well, Tony Stark couldn't issue you one because we don't know your true identity. And he's like, yeah, that checks out, because all of them are talking about how much they're getting paid, like it's a crazy amount Tony Stark's paying him, and Spidey's like, yeah, that checks out. And then like Wolverine's like, hey, no big deal, I don't need the money, I'll give you mine. Like, actually, you legally can't pass him the money because of this and this. And Spidey's like, yeah, that checks out
right.
too.
Yeah. Poor Spidey.
You're supposed to know if you can have this one when you're done.
Yeah. Sure can.
Chris, we're gonna abrupt subject change. Did you watch the Book of Boba Fett trailer today?
Ooh.
Stupid question. How many times did you watch it today? Because that made my morning.
Made my week.
I think I agree with John. John said, hey, let's not show anything else. At this point, we got a good teaser trailer.
Yeah.
December 29th is we're less than 2 months away.
Yeah, it's close.
Let's just coast in and like he's like, Jabba ruled by fear, I will rule by respect. And I was like, you got my respect, Mr. Fett.
Yep.
Let me know what we got to do.
Yeah, good job, because you totally changed my opinion of the Boba Fett character.
Oh my gosh. What's his line is, fate sometimes steps in to save the wretched. Good line. And he goes berserker with his gaffy stick.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Otto, I guess, until we hear anybody wants to talk about Boba Fett, we can switch gears again. But there's he did only one so far. I understand, yeah. We're busy. I like that too. I don't like sitting, because if you watch a trailer, sometimes they'll put spoilers in there. If you watch it over and over and over and over and over, you can start like spotting things.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to kind of be surprised. But with Otto, I'm excited to see what they do with him in No Way Home.
First of all, I'm just excited for because what Eternals comes out this week, but I don't know anything about the Eternals. So I'm not like super pumped. Obviously, I want to see it, but I still haven't even seen Black Widow or Shang-Chi from this year. So
yeah, I still haven't seen Shang-Chi. Black Widow is Winter Soldier females. And I mean that in the best way, like, but the plot is shockingly similar. Taskmaster and Black Widow's fight, their first fight's awesome though. It's really good. What's his name? But yeah, Eternals, I feel like there's a reason they made Eternals. And the reason they made Eternals is because Guardians of the Galaxy was a huge hit. Because they took a shot in the dark with that team. Granted, it's not the comic team. I don't care what anybody says. It's the comic team now. But when that came out, that is not Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning's Guardians of the Galaxy. First of all, it's not the first Guardians, which they call the Guardians 3000 now. But that gave them the audacity, the courage to try different things. And I don't know, maybe because they're going more cosmic, or maybe because they're going multiverse, they're going to get the Eternals involved. But I mean, like, the Eternals are just, I don't know, I've never found them super interesting. In the comics, they're just kind of like, Thanos is part of them. I mean, the Grand Master is, I'm pretty sure.
You said the Collector is too, right?
I think he is. That's what I'm double checking now. I'm pretty sure he's considered an Eternal. I could be wrong about that. He might be like, because they have a bunch of like He's an immortal, or he's an elder of the universe. It was supposed to be because he's immortal, but he can still be killed. Um, but his wife grew bored and ended up killing herself out of boredom, and so that's why he collects things, keep himself always interested. Which I gotta say, as somebody who used to be a collector,
It works.
pretty solid immortality hobby. I know if I had forever, I'd collect stuff. But I don't know. We'll see. I kind of haven't been reading a lot. I love Kumail Nanjiani, the actor. He is probably single-handedly responsible for the X-Files getting 2 extra seasons, because he created a podcast called the X-Files Files, and he just talked about every episode and like drummed up interest in it again, and got people like doing these huge rewatches and stuff. And then it got 2 more seasons, and he was actually in the Were Lizard episode, which was fun. Yeah, I guess he is just an elder. Maybe he's not an eternal. But either way, maybe they'll take some people who are okay and make them super fun. She said, I went into Shang-Chi not knowing anything and loved it, so I want to check out the Eternals. I know nothing about them.
I mean, I've heard the Shang-Chi was good as like just a kung fu movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, when I saw it, I was like, all I want out of this is solid kung fu. Aaron's in the chat now. You feeling better, Aaron, I hope? Or at least not feeling worse?
Hey, Aaron.
You know, man, I'll disagree. I loved Solo. I thought Solo was a great movie.
I love Solo.
I wish it was something they would do more, which is just recast people. Like, as cool as the having Mark Hamill back to play Luke and then kind of digitally overdoing him, like, I would have been perfectly fine if they would have done what everybody wanted and cast Sebastian Stan to play Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, or just anybody, like, I think these characters are iconic enough that you can recast them. And like, tell me if a different actor had come up in that black robe and the black Jedi outfit, carrying that white or the green lightsaber and the black glove. Tell me, it would have been like, that's not Luke.
Yep.
I'd have been like, when
I
she
shit
said,
my pants either way.
when Cara Dune said 1 X-wing, we're saved, I was like, it's Luke. Like,
Yep.
screamed and held my head for the next 20 minutes of that show. Like, I think you could redo it. Like, I didn't like them doing it to Tarkin. I didn't like them doing it to Leia. I just don't care for the facial change like that. It's just, especially when they're gone. Like, I get what they did for like Endgame when they made Michael Douglas look younger as the Ant-Man. Like, that makes sense. Okay, it's just one scene. Who cares? But like a total recast, just dude did an awesome job as Han.
Yeah.
And I like that Chewie was a full-fledged character in it, and I liked a lot of the characters. I even like Han shooting Beck first, even though I'm not like, we're not getting into the Han shot first argument, but I just liked it showed that he knew he was a threat and he wasn't afraid to, fight for it. Oh, okay, he was making a joke. He said, I've never felt so. I was thinking that like, I never really felt it. I never got into it. I'm sorry. I missed your pun. Man, we're sleepy.
I'm no joke. I feel like I'm about to fall asleep sitting.
Yeah. Like, I told Scoot, I was like, 9 o'clock, we're cutting it off. He could be in the middle of, well, I've got 2 more hash marks. All right, good night.
All right,
You just turn it off. But, gosh, Matt, I can't believe I missed that. Aaron, he said he's still under the weather, loves Solo, but doing a little inking right now.
That's good.
Get out of my bag. What is wrong with you? Your dog. Challenge dog.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad to hear, Aaron. I actually, I gotta watch the Scott Snyder class. The night you missed it because you weren't feeling well, I came home fully intent on it, and I just had a super long week and just read comics instead. Sometimes you gotta do what's best for yourself. But I'll get to it. I'll get to it sometime soon. Maybe not this week, but maybe next Sunday or something. Had Donnie Cates on there, so God knows what happened.
I've heard it was good.
Yeah, all of his stuff's been really solid. I finished Witches today, one of Scott Snyder's books, and I gotta say, like, it was good, but I really didn't get into it till the very last issue. Like, the very last issue was exceptional, and then like all of his letters in the back were really good. I like that kind of stuff. Like, I like hearing like his thought process, how he came up with it. Like, Witches was based on like him and his friend used to go witch hunting in the woods by where they lived, and all this weird stuff. And so he kind of channeled into a comic. Super fun where it came from. So I was happy to read that. But yeah, so hopefully I got to pick up volume 2 of that sometime soon. Tiki Raccoon jumped in before the end this time. Thank you, sir.
Ooh.
Said looking dope as always.
Hey, thanks.
Said your drawing's not too bad either.
Oh yeah. When people compliment us when we're together, I always just assume they're talking about Brad first.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out lighting wise, like where I want to go with this.
Oh, something while he's working on lighting and all this stuff nobody cares about.
It's true.
So Scoot hit a milestone. If you haven't noticed, Scoot's been hitting a lot of numbers. He's really good, well deserved. Scoot's put in a lot of work. Jokes aside, he's getting good amounts of new followers. We still love you guys who are the original folks. Love all the new people. Glad to see you in the chat. But he's getting a lot of traction on his posts. He's getting a lot of followers, you know, commissions are coming in, super fun stuff. But he got maybe his first real attempt at being a troll.
Yeah.
He had a guy who came over there and told him the Spider-Man and being taken over by the symbiote that is just crushing numbers. Not Space Venom numbers, but still doing darn well. Yeah, he got a guy on there who's telling him the eye was out of proportion or something, and it's like,
center.
yeah, your eye's off center, LOL, WTF, with like an emoji. And I thought it was pretty funny, because Scoot and I we're Bane. Like, we weren't quite like Usenet or any of the super early forums, but we've been on the internet for a very long time back, and so like I know what trolls look like. And like, I'm gonna let you guys know, social media trolls aren't trolls. They're weird, like, attention whores that just, I don't really know what they get out of it. And I guess the point of this is like, for people who haven't heard the internet thing, is you don't feed the troll. You don't give them attention. You don't give them the time of day. Because that's what they want. They want you to get angry. They want you to snap back at them. Actually, we should post up. Corey dealt with a troll on his page once, and he did it so well. And in true, like, Corey, who could destroy him in a like a battle of wits because he's so quick-witted, just was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. It just kind of left him alone. So if you guys if you happen to see this troll on Scoot's comments, or if you see any of the future ones, just follow the rules. Don't feed the troll. We're not going to acknowledge them. We're not going to comment back. We're not going to like their post. We're not even going to delete their post.
Nope.
Because let their comment ride, and we're just going to keep our little positive community going. So you guys do that with us. Of course, criticism's always accepted. None of us are above.
But when Matt messaged me and told me that dude had been posting my artwork and erasing my signature, they let that fucker have it.
Oh yeah, no, and that's different. That's stealing art. That's different. But like, none of us. I mean, I talked about yesterday. I was writing an issue and wrote like half an issue. Realized like a chunk of it could be rewritten because it wasn't good, and redid it because that's what you do. We all learn. We all adapt. Raise your hand if you haven't drawn a backwards limb on a person sometime. You know,
My hand's not going up.
Your hands go up. We've we all make mistakes, and you know when Corey's like, "Is that foot backwards?" You're like, "Holy shit!"
My heart
He
dropped.
immediately, but like, dude was not going, "Hey, I think that eye's off. You know, is it off center, or what were you going for?" It was nothing like that. He was just trying to be a jerk, and you know what?
Fuck that guy.
You know, yeah, I was about to say, get the fuck out of here. We
Get out of here with your 2 followers.
Gosh, it might have been Matt who, when we all started following him and he kind of became part of our little circle, gosh, it couldn't have been a couple of months later. He sent out a bunch of stuff like, hey, here's a bunch of my needs. Could you give me some feedback or, this and that? We're all happy to do that.
That's what it's
even
about.
though we're all learning. But the break it, well, we break balls. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
We are pretty rough on each other in our group chat, especially. But it's all in good fun. But like, yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't ever want it to be like, I don't want it to people be like, oh, Scoot's account is where we go and we try to rile people up and then we try to get a reaction. Like, no, we're just gonna let it go.
Yep.
We just don't care.
Also, I texted Brad about it. I was like, does that mean we've made it? That people are trolling me?
Oh my god, there's no Witches Volume 2. Okay. Well, that gives me time to read other Scott Snyder stuff. But yeah, so art thieves, crucify them. Trolls, not necessarily turn the other cheek, but just like moonwalk out of the room or something. We don't care.
He ain't hurt me any.
Yeah. We've got a lot of the regular folks, so do you want to talk about Patreon or something? Because
yeah, sure.
I'll talk about it and you can throw in whatever you want, or if you want to take over.
Yeah,
Scoot and I have talked about doing Patreon for a while. For him, of course. Might eventually become the Brute Studios one, but for now it'd be Scoot, because the goal is to get Scoot out. I get at least a demote to like a normal like 40-hour work week, easy hour kind of job.
I work a 10+ hour a day job.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's super stressful. So we want to get him out of that job so he can do more art, and then eventually get him out of everything but art. We want art to be full time. And part of that is of course the is how does he get paid? And so we're trying to look. We've been looking at Patreon forever. We've seen a lot of people who somewhere between about, I don't know, like 2,500 to 5,000 followers start a Patreon and start building up a following. And Scoot and I were talking about it Saturday. We were in the middle of a Halloween party. We were trying to have a discussion about like comics and how we need to what we need to do to keep moving forward. And the big discussion was Patreon. So he now has a tax ID, so he can do, because Scoot, believe it or not, made enough money on art this year that PayPal demanded he had a tax ID, or they were going to shut his PayPal down. So Scoot now has one, so he's official. He can now claim all of his art supplies, all of any conventions he does, any shipping he does, all on his taxes. So what we think is going into fourth quarter is the busiest time for Scoot, obviously, is retail. So he's going to work on pages, do some commissions. We're going to keep streaming. We're not going to stop streaming.
Nope. Even when I hit the 6-day work weeks, we'll find a day to stream.
Yeah, and January, sometime early January, maybe January 1st, Scoot's going to throw his Patreon live. And we've talked about a bunch of different tiers and what could go into it. And we've got some stuff we think are some good ideas, but we're always open to other ideas. Because I'll be helping a little bit. Of course, the bulk of it will be Scoot. The bulk of it will be his art. But we're still going to do like maybe some exclusive videos, or I think he had a tier set up where we do like art and script and just comic editing and critiques if you'd like them, or just proofreads and things like that. So I'm going to help him with some of that. And we have a fun idea for a video series that I think we do, just like Scoot wanted to do a video series where he does art lessons, and they'd be like 10-15 minute lessons on different things, eyeballs, perspective, whatever you feel like doing, clothing or whatever. And then we had another idea for a possible other video series we do. But if you guys ever have ideas, let us know, or if there's things you like in people's Patreons, because we've looked at a ton of them, and we talked about what we're trying to balance is the demand, like what can we put up that would cause demand, that people would want it, but also Scoot's ability to meet that demand, because we can't go, oh, everybody in the $60 tier gets a head sketch every month, and Scoot suddenly has 400 people in that, he would die. So I
mean, first of all, what are some things, if you guys wanted to follow? I'm not saying obviously you have to, but if you did, what are some things that you'd want to see
Yeah.
in a Patreon?
And as always, like, this stream is never going to be on Patreon.
Yeah, it's never going to
So
be
anything we
monetized.
already do, there's anything we already do, like, we know, like we always say, Hayashi's a high school kid. He doesn't need to subscribe to Patreon. So we're not gonna suddenly just put this stream behind a paywall or, only post certain things. So there will be stuff that never existed that'll be on there, but never feel like I don't ever want people to feel like they have to
Yeah.
to pay to get stuff. One, we just like talking to people.
People ask me all the time for art critiques and
Yeah.
how to get better, and I don't think I'll ever stop giving that out for free. But if somebody wanted to spend some time one-on-one, then that could be a pay tier.
Yeah, and then even like, dude, it could be like some people just do videos earlier on Patreon. So it's like these come out and then a month later they come out on YouTube. And so yeah, there's always stuff, and ahead of time, if you guys, anybody contributes, man, we thank you, because anything we can do to get Scoot, there's a number we have in mind for like where he'd want to be to where he could be full time. But we're just, I mean, if we were suddenly, same thing as we say, we're always happy to be in here with, if it was just Hayashi like we thought earlier, just us shooting the breeze,
hang out,
I'm always happy with that. But if we're suddenly, people are like, hey, Scoot's making $50 a month, sweet, that would be cool.
One step
so
closer.
It's not no expectations, no disappointments, but we're just excited that everybody's here for us. And so that's something we're really pushing. We're going to remind Scoot will probably make some posts in December letting him know what's probably coming, giving some examples of what to expect, and I think he'll do okay, especially his numbers are looking good. I think we can get some people in there and maybe get the ball rolling on him having extra, like an extra padding to help him reach his goal. I think it's,
yeah, because I'm always I'm weary to just make the leap with just commissions, because you never know.
Yeah, so like, and that's the thing is like, he's having trouble right now getting somebody to pay him.
Yeah.
And which means keep an eye out, because some of these head sketches might be up for sale soon. But it's commissions. I love when you see an artist who are like, sorry, commissions are closed. Like, that's awesome. They're packed.
Yeah.
But it's also, that's hard to rely on. But if you had Patreon where you had this X amount of money every month, that's coming, a little job security.
Yeah.
So that's just an overview. It's nothing's hard and fast set in stone yet, but it's something that we're both pushing towards and talking about.
Giveaways will keep happening at milestones. Lessons I'd like to do.
We're gonna have to do a Hayashi giveaway for Aaron.
Yeah.
Poor guys. Every time we put his name in a bottle, I think he gets glue on it and sticks to the bottom of Captain America.
Aaron, just so we know, what character would you want if we did a giveaway for you? We'll put it in our back pocket.
We should just sketch Corey in a hard hat for him.
Oh yeah.
A head sketch of hard hat Corey.
Never mind. We don't need suggestions. We got it.
We're good.
We got it.
We got it.
We're straight.
But yeah, there'd be giveaway though. I mean, I think one of them we were talking about doing certain like monthly or bi-monthly giveaways on Patreon and stuff.
Yeah. We were saying doing fun stuff like every year I send out Christmas cards with sketches in them, so you can put on the Christmas card list.
Yeah, or holiday card if you're not so Christmas, but
yeah,
if for all of our Jewish friends and non-denominationals. But yeah, because he sends out Christmas cards every year and posts them up, and people are like, "How do I get on that list?" And so that'd be fun. We'd also talked about, when we get more comics rolling, there'd be exclusive stuff on there for that. Even like higher res, like pages to ink and things like that.
Yeah, because a lot of people ask me for my high res too to practice on, which is cool. But I got that idea from Brett Booth. He puts his high res on his Patreon.
Yeah. And revenue stream is always something we're looking into.
Yeah.
For now, we go with Hardhead Corey. It's a sketch. It's the head sketch of Corey, but in the background's him as Captain Iowa. Oh my God, you should have seen him trick-or-treating yesterday in his overalls. I thought it was a joke.
It was great.
But but in that vein of, hey, what are our plans? What are BS doing in 2022? The other thing is we wanted to go to more conventions. We because of course we've been going to Memphis Comic Expo. We went for 3 years, and it just kind of, we weren't pushing real hard. And then 2020, Scoot and I had several meetings in early 2020 where we were planning conventions. We had submitted several applications. We were getting the ball rolling, and then of course kerfuffle happened. So we of course fell back on that. And then this year was just so wishy-washy. Just some people were doing it, some people weren't. Some of them were just having blowouts, some of them weren't. So we think in 2022 we said what we were going to do is, unless something crazy happens and Scoot is full-time artist by January, we're going to set a smaller goal of doing a convention every other month. So we'll do about 6 conventions total in the year. So we'll take suggestions on that when time comes, and it'd be cool to see people different. We've got a few people who've wanted us to come to New York, I think, and do a couple of the cons up there.
We have a lot of things that we want to do.
Yeah,
particularly next year. Hoping that we can make them happen.
Yeah, Andrew, we are working on that. He said, I don't know about YouTube streaming, so it may already be part of it, but a streaming platform that allows donations. So when we hit 1,000 subscribers, there you can put super chat and you can monetize your channel and you get donations.
Yeah, you have to wait on YouTube till you hit 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, so
and I'm only at like 150.
50.
So
850. So I think Scoot we need to do a couple of posts to promote the page, because he's got enough followers that we could hit that easily. It's just some people don't subscribe. It's gonna be slow going. Probably should have started YouTube 1.5 years ago.
Which we actually had the stuff for over a year to start streaming before we actually did. But with everything we do, we always want to make sure it's perfect, as close to perfect as can be, and ready to go. Because I mean, same with our comic, B-Movie Saga, the one that's almost ready is only 8 pages, and it's been in the works for over a year.
Yeah. And
we just want to make sure everything's.
Aaron said coming to Thought Bubble next year. That's over in his area. That would be awesome.
I would love to go
to
overseas. I've never been out of the country. I would love to go.
That would be awesome, just to like mingle with all these people that we don't know, and then just, I don't know, maybe hopefully our the accents go both ways, and people be like, look at that charming Southern accent, and they'll be like, yeah, girl.
Oh yeah, girl.
No, not that one. Yeah, no, I'd love to do international ones. International probably being like us right now would be somewhere in England, of course, or Canada.
Yeah.
Canada being connected
international. I know you like to have like that Toronto Fan Expo or something like that.
I used to I'd always be like, oh, Canada's not really international. They're connected to us, until we shipped Hayashi's package, and I'm like, yeah, this motherfucker's international.
Yeah, my God, that shit.
They acted like they had to put it on a boat. They acted like they had to send it over on the Titanic. Like, I don't know what they were getting into there, but at least it made it to them. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're definitely looking at conventions next year, which of course I'll be with them at all of them.
Yeah, you will.
Because hopefully hopefully it'll be a Brute Studios booth as much as it is a Scoot Starnes booth.
Because we want the booth to be able to sell our stuff, show our stuff, and have a comic ready. We'd love for Corey to join us at some, and whoever ends up coloring it,
Oh my God, if it came to Thought Bubble, then Aaron could hang out at our booth with us.
That'd be awesome.
Then again, if he came over here, he hang out our booth too.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
The only rule is if you're in the hype chair, you gotta be hype.
Gotta be hype. Because I'm usually drawing the whole time.
My boy Cal Bradula, he said Aaron's gonna introduce me as that. Can I wear a cape? Would that be too weird? I guess Americans have a reputation for being loud and obnoxious abroad, so I can wear a cape if I want.
We're definitely loud, not obnoxious.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We bring
our hype.
We bring the hype at convention.
What's with the cape? Are we going to the opera? I don't think so. Yeah, so that would be cool. Like, what if one of our 6 this year was in London? Like, that would be awesome. Like, just make it our big vacation for the year. Like, one of our big vacations. Like, we go over there and we land on like Friday, set up our booth, do all this stuff, you know, and then have a week to just like chill and like visit the city. That would be awesome. Because I mean, granted, we'd have to be. I guess it wouldn't be too bad. We don't carry a ton of stuff with us, so it wouldn't be. It would just be like one extra carry-on bag or something with all of our comics and your original art and stuff in it.
A banner.
It's England. You can wear a cape. Oh. I have to learn when in Rome, I guess. So if you wear a cape, Aaron, you let me know, and I'll have mine ready. I don't even have a Jedi robe anymore. That'd be fun.
Brad'll have his cat ears.
Oh my gosh. Have one of those hats that you squeeze the paws and the ears flap.
Oh, those
like those really annoying cosplayers like, oh, I'm in England, kawaii. Call everybody a baka. Like, Brad, why are you being escorted to Heathrow? Like, oh man, they kicked me out. I'm
not
not
Brad. I knew it.
Oh yeah. Oh, Thought Bubble's in the North Island. Excuse me, I didn't know that. But that's cool. I haven't been to the North. I've been to London, and I've been to like Amesbury because I went to see Stonehenge because I had to. Big pile of rocks, super awesome, super old. Wish I could have meditated there, channel the spirits or something. Great city. I enjoyed London, what I saw, but of course I was only there for like 4 or 5 days, so I saw a lot of it, but I didn't see a lot of it. It's like any city. Like I spent 9 days in Tokyo, and I probably saw like 30% of that place. Yeah, she said if you guys go to the Calgary Expo, I'll randomly walk up. I'll know what you guys look like, but you don't know what I look like. I'll know you because you'll have a Penguins jersey on. Every post I've ever seen with you, you have a Penguins jersey on. And if I come to Calgary, I'm dressing as Bret Hart. Scoot can come as...
He is a national treasure. I'm gonna be Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yeah. We're coming as the Hart Foundation.
Yeah. But Corey will come and he'll be the Sharp Foundation.
Or is he from Montreal?
Oh, Calgary, Alberta, I think. From Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Yeah, because he got. Let me see. I'm curious.
We're gonna go visit Stu Hart's den.
Oh my god. I don't want its official page. Yeah, the man's been married 3 times.
Bret Hart?
God.
What'd you type in? Where's Bret Hart from?
No, I just typed in Bret Hart. Where are you born? Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Yeah. There we go.
I'm smart.
Stu Hart. He is definitely
Stu Hart's afraid
older.
to leave a stoop.
I think the scariest thing about traveling to England is trying to pronounce the not sound like an American when I pronounce the locations. Okay, yeah, he's so Matt Nick came to save us. Man, Bret Hart was the bomb growing up.
Yeah, he was.
I wanted to do that, Aaron. I'll be honest. Like last year, me and a couple of my family members were planning a trip to England, and the whole point was, I guess, the UK, because our whole point was to land in London and spend a couple of days there, kind of use it as our hub, but then like rent a car and go up north. I want to go see Loch Ness, because the Loch Ness monster. Love cryptids, love weird stuff, but also it's just beautiful. But yeah, I really wanted to see more of like the countryside because I love cities, and London was awesome. It was just crazy and hectic, and it's like it started raining and no one cared. They just kept walking. It was wild. It was fun. Pubs on every corner, so that was a good stereotype to live up to. But I definitely want to see like different parts of it for sure. He said, "I'll be like, hey, can you guys sign this?" And it'll be his ghostwriter or one of his artworks.
I'll be like, hey, Hayashi. Like that'd be super cool to me to meet a bunch of you guys.
Yeah, and I was really thinking about like where we might end up might be based on fans. Like, hey, we know we got people here who know us, so let's go to like the people who've been asking us when we're going to New York, or
yeah,
go
Man, New York Comic Con would be intimidating.
So if Thought Bubble isn't in London, the better idea is to land in London, and then we carpool, like trip, like road trip up there with Aaron and Matt and a few other people. We could do like
that'd be awesome.
A cool road trip. Meet somebody in person 2 hours later, spend several hours in the car together, and see if we don't murder each other. Old school player in the chat, Scoot said, "What's up?"
Oh, hey, what's up, man? Mark, how's it going?
What state are you in? Are you talking to us? Because we are from we are in Tennessee.
Yeah,
Memphis to be accurate. We're actually in Oakland, but no one cares. It's Memphis is where it's at. We were worried people wouldn't show up for Mondays. We got everybody coming in here, kicking off the week good together. Who better to spend the week with than our
Tell me who
friends?
in this chat right now left David Finch's stream to be here where the real players are.
Who's this? M Finch and D Finch are in the chat. It's gonna look over so bad.
Oh god.
It'll be like when JP Mayer was in one of our Instagram lives, and we all was it Frank Martin?
Frank Martin.
And we're all like, they like froze on the spot and gave the worst.
I was
Instagram. Hail Hydra. Oh man, old school player bringing out the old school Scoot Squad hashtag.
Oh yeah. Cheers, baby.
Andrew said he's about an hour from Chattanooga, so
cool.
I will be a little closer to you. Tennessee is aggressively long.
Yeah.
It really should be 2 states, but I'll be in West Tennessee or East Tennessee this weekend, going camping in the Smoky Mountains with my run group. Freezing temperatures.
Oh, you're going with the run group?
Yeah,
that's cool.
A bunch of them were planning, so like I think it's gonna end up being about 10 or 12 of us doing a bunch of hiking and stuff.
That's cool.
Hey, thanks for stopping in, Chris.
Yeah, man, no problem. And I'll send you this once it's done. Because Starlight Pit podcast, there's our good friend Chris. This commission's for him.
He is definitely a Star Wars aficionado, but definitely all around nerd.
Yeah,
all the same.
Yeah, Matt or Aaron, one time we were streaming on Instagram and Frank Martin popped into our stream.
I can only imagine he accidentally hit the Instagram live thinking it was a story.
I don't give a shit because it said Frank Martin has joined. So
we were all like, what are words English?
Yeah.
Not the bio. Like
not the bio. Oh,
that's what you need to your top tier on Patreon is hashtag Scoot Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frank Martin. At least JP and Frank Martin at least know you're alive. They have commented and retweeted your stuff. So
yes, they have.
I still like because didn't JP say he wanted to ink your Absolute Carnage piece?
He did.
I wish he would have.
Frank Martin one time. I remember I was posting something complimenting his colors on some post he had, and I posted on there saying something. Man, hopefully one day I'll get to collaborate with such great artists like yourself or something like that. And he said, well, judging from your art, you're not far off. And I was like, oh God.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that piece still holds up because I'm looking at it right now, but your art is even better now. So just keeps going.
These head sketches have done a lot for me because I'm not going to lie, like doing human heads can be tough.
Yeah, you've been doing a lot of weirdos lately. Gods and aliens and
Yeah, but like drawing humans, like I can draw an alien all day, like because there's really not a way to mess them up. But drawing stuff like this, I wanted to do I didn't want to just do a profile. I didn't want to do it just straight on. I wanted to have him kind of like his body's facing this way, but his face is going that way and he's looking up. Almost like, hey, Spidey's coming down from the top and he's looking up to meet him. So it's given me a cool opportunity to try a bunch of new poses that aren't, full body poses. They're just, you get what I'm trying to say.
Which I mean, and that's good because you do a lot of being like comics. You do a lot of close-up panels because you want, unless you have a long panel or a full-page spread, you don't want to put your whole character in every panel because they're supposed to be larger than life and can't fit in there. And
exactly.
Whole like logic behind paneling that way. Yeah, Aaron, we did lose our mind. We stopped, like, Scoot stopped drawing, I stopped talking. It was, Frank Martin stunned us. He walked in and just
Stone Cold stunned us. Yeah.
Threw on the knee pads, went out there and just wrecked us.
He fell back, flipping us off. It was cool. I like to think that he sat and checked it out for a little bit. It's probably not the case. Also, with these head sketches, I'm trying some. I want to try different lighting and stuff. Like with this one, because he's facing up towards the light, there doesn't need to be a ton on his face, but there's got to be enough on his face to give definition. So it's really like stretching me and making me think about where the shadows would fold around the face. So this one, I mean, if you guys have been paying attention, and you haven't been just listening to Brad because he's the real entertainment, you can kind of see that I've been erasing a lot, just trying to figure out where I want to do or where the lighting should be and where it ultimately.
I really enjoyed the Venom. You did the full body one where it looked like a flashbang was going on.
Dude, I'm always wanting to do that lighting, but it is so intimidating. Like I thought about doing it for this one, but it's so intimidating. Like I don't know if I would be able to do that on stream because I'm afraid I would mess it.
Sure. Hey Logan, I don't know if I've know you, but good to have you in the chat.
Logan.angel. Yep. Don't know if I know you, but welcome. We like getting folks in here we don't know.
Thanks for the compliment.
Looking clean to me is a really big compliment. I always try to keep my pencils looking really tight, really clean.
If it needs more detail, Corey can handle it.
Yeah.
Clean up and post. We've got a Scoot and Corey piece that'll be dropping over the next couple of days on Instagram. Original characters this time, so we've shown the pinup here, but we'll be dropping the full size of it. Being that it's an original character thing, we just wanted Corey to have a chance to ink it first and get it out in the wild before the rest of the inklings join up.
Inklings.
The inklings. Otto's got a good strong chin.
Yeah.
Just as he should.
And I don't like when people make Otto super fat.
Yeah.
Like he's bigger, yes.
He's a big dude.
And that's great. But yeah, he's almost just intimidating big, Like
yeah, that's why I like Del Otto's that I was showing you earlier, where he did on the Vengeance, where they had just the mechanism of the tentacles up close to like just under his boob.
Yeah.
But it just looked like it was kind of cutting into him because it was like hurting him, and it just looked awesome. That one, how he's just like they were pulling, like he was pulling off his glasses with the tentacles, was super dope.
Like don't get me wrong, he's a thick dude, but I never will draw him just fat. Maybe have a little pudge.
Yeah. One day you need to do a Spidey head sketch to show how fast you can do those on here.
Do one after this and ink it.
No, I don't condone you inking.
I ink on Spidey cardboard sketches.
Dude, drawing a Spidey head sketch is like an art book teaching you to draw a grizzly bear. It's like step 1, step 2, done. Where it's like draw 2 circles, put circles for feet, put in hair. It's just like this expert piece.
I love drawing Spidey.
I don't know if I've seen Gabe's Otto.
It's good. It's really good.
I mean, it's Gabe. So
Yeah. I mean, he does everything.
I've never seen him like. Have you ever seen Gabe's this guy? It's so like no one has ever followed that sentence up. I'm just waiting for somebody to do the after scoot for Wonder Woman 2014.
Get on that.
A little homage.
We're gonna do our first ever Scoot Squad art contest. That's gonna be it.
Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
we'll be the judges.
I'm gonna draw it with a squiggle pen and it'll look better.
No, better yet, we're gonna make like Hayashi and Aaron and Matt be the judge of them.
Oh my god.
So they have to look at it.
Oh man. Hayashi, never underestimate the power of a Deadpool head sketch. Dude and I did. And we
literally where my hot trail that's been going on for a while started.
Yeah, where your momentum gained. And then it was crazy because I was like, it's going to be forever because, boy, I loved his wrist post where he hurt his wrist was the highest post forever with like 600 likes. And then I think a Spawn and maybe a Venom head sketch dethroned it.
Yeah. And
then Deadpool came in and just whipped it out on everybody until Venom was like, hold our beer, and just took off. And then it was like 3 Venom head sketch and that Space Venom hit and the world lost its mind. That thing is going to be if it keeps up, it's going to crack 10,000 and it's going to be like, I can't comprehend that.
Hey, I can't either.
We're not cool enough to hit 10,000 likes.
We are not cool enough to hit 10,000.
I can't understand that you're about to hit 4,000 followers. Like it's cool. But
yeah, we didn't even get to do a 3,000 followers or a 3,500 followers. So we'll make sure we do a 400 or a 4,000.
Aaron said, I'm never redrawing Wonder Woman 14.
Never say never, Aaron.
Like, Aaron didn't come to the streams anymore after he drew that, and then come to find out he just decided to be an accountant, or he tried to go the exact opposite of fun comics.
Gave up on comics altogether.
Yeah. Like, there was a house fire, and apparently a bunch of comics went up, and he just was watching it burn like Edward Elric. Actually, there's no making that thing 10 times worse. We looked at it.
How do you guys think I feel? That came from my hand.
I just made a huge cardboard cutout for it, and that was the only decoration I had up for Halloween.
That's going to be on my next banner at our booth.
Oh my god, I'm not coming.
It's going to be the European tour banner.
Oh. Aaron's like, how do I find you guys? Where are you located? Like, you'll know.
You'll know.
Just look for us. You'll know when you see it. That man sees it like, I don't know them.
Yep. And he comes over with a pitchfork like we're Frankenstein.
Oh yeah.
Go back to America.
Like, hey, I don't want to get these causing any stir, but
They're over there selling bootleg merchandise.
I think they said they had a bomb for when they get back. What? Next thing I know, Scoot and I are getting cavity searched by some British chap, some cop Bobby.
Oh man, if he comes over there speaking that British accent, then...
It's gonna be England. Everyone's got one.
Oh, yeah, we're gonna need to cavity search you. Insert accent here. Brad's like, "Aight."
All I think about is if you guys are old enough to have played the Thrasher game on PlayStation, it was awesome. First of all their music from like the golden age of rap, super good. But when you get to England, of course, like the whole point of that game is you had to skateboard and it was in illegal places. And then at a certain point, a cop or some authority figure would try to come after you. And when you were skating in England, I don't remember, like, the guy would chase you, and he had like the old baton, like you see when you see like,
he
oh,
was
this
a
is
Bobby.
an English drama from 1800. This is a Jack the Ripper story, and here's the cop with a very distinctive hat with the club and everything. And at the end, he'd be like, "Don't make me call your mom," and that's all. All I remember if you got away from him. Say, hey, I see the booth. I think I'm going home. What he doesn't see is we just put we actually make the banner and just says Aaron Thompson, art by Aaron Thompson. It's just
not even funny.
That's Martin dropping the grenade. You killed yourself to take him out. Oh my god.
What are we looking like on time? Like 8:30.
How much you got on him?
Maybe probably another 30 minutes. It'll be just about right. I'm still I keep going to other areas because I'm not sure about space. I don't want to overdo it, and it's easy to overdo it. But I'm also like, man, should I add some more shadowing? And this may end up being one that afterwards, after I don't look at it for a while, I come back to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. I do it with writing all the time. I talked about it, how I wrote 3 pages and I had it, and I was like, yeah, I just broke it up like this. And then later I was like, why in the world did I do it like that? Like, it made 0 sense. So I, sometimes you just got to drop stuff. Dialogue's a huge thing like that, where I'll just write tons of dialogue, and then you come back in and just rip it apart and put it back together.
Yeah. Because like right now, this part I'm doing right here, I'm trying to figure out if I want to put his nose shadow on his lip, but I don't think it's going to work. This is going to probably be one of those times where it's comics, so you got to just make it look cool instead of following where a shadow would actually be. But I also don't want him to look like he has a Hitler stash either.
Oh my god.
And because this is a shot, an angle that I'm not as familiar with, it's a chance for me to kind of just. I was thinking the other day, because somebody was asking me how I approach poses, and one of the things I really like to do besides drawing is I like to sculpt, and I almost approach drawing like sculpting, where I'll put it down, and then I kind of just. I'll put some lines down, and then I'll build on top of it, and then I'll build on top of that, and then I'll build on top of that. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't work, so I have to take some away. So it's like taking clay away. So I very much approach drawing like I do sculpting.
Yeah, I think it's another huge influence on us is, not even kidding, is Bob Ross. And
Yeah.
at a certain point, it's your world, and you got to do what you want. Like, you can follow anatomy and you can follow all the rules, but you can't let that stand in the way of you having a good time or you making it badass. We always use Spidey as the example. Who can put their foot above their head like that? But it looks cool.
Yeah. And I don't remember what artist said it, but they said, you need to learn anatomy, you need to learn lighting, you need to learn forms, because all that stuff's important. But sometimes you got to break a rule for it to look cool. So.
Yeah, a lot of writers talk about that too. Is like, there's a formula you can follow to writing anything, but definitely like writing a comic, you can follow a 3-act structure to the T, but you can shake it up and make it fun. Logan said, "Who's your favorite Doc character?" What do you mean Doc character? You mean like who's our favorite like artist for Otto, or
favorite doctor?
Any doctor at all? Because there's Doctor maybe
Kurt Connors,
Hank Pym, maybe. Expand on that. We'll answer. We'll happily answer it. Dude, Aaron, I do not envy you for 3D modeling. That I took a course of that in college when I was on a path for like graphic design, kind of video game design stuff, that for a little bit, and I remember the first time I designed something, like, this looks great. And then my teacher came over, or I looked at it and I was like, oh, and I tilted it on one axis. And it was just like, it was like building a snowman, but then you tilt the snowman and like the eyes, like the corn cob pipe and the eyes and the carrot were floating in front of it because I didn't pay attention to all the dimensions like I was supposed to. Real dumb mistake.
I'm not good
He
with
said, who's
Huh?
your favorite DC
favorite DC character.
Mine's super stereotypical Superman. I grew up, like, my dad was a huge Superman fan, and he talked about him a lot, and he kind of got me into him. And him and I spent a lot of like my early teen years, me and him, watching Smallville, which led me into like reading Superman comics. And Scoot and I both are very light on our knowledge of DC.
Yeah.
It's something we need to get
I don't
more
even
into.
know if I could pick a favorite DC character because I haven't read enough. I've read some Justice League stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
I'll do a shelf reveal sometime soon because I've reorganized my shelves, my comic shelves, but I have 611 trades, and I think like 367 of them are Marvel, and like Image and Boom come in next for the most, but DC I have like 7, and it's never like, we've never been DC versus Marvel.
yeah.
I
have nothing against DC. I just didn't grow up with them.
Yeah, and so like I slowly have read stuff, but it's like a lot of times if Scoot draws a DC character, chances are Corey suggested it.
Like that Darkseid I drew the other day. I know nothing about Darkseid. In fact, every time I see it, I can't help but say Darkseid.
Oh, I like saying that just to mess with people.
Yeah, but I have nothing against the characters. In fact, I think their characters are very cool. We did watch a lot of the old Batman cartoon growing
True,
up.
yeah, the Bruce Timm designed one, yeah. And we watched Batman Beyond a lot too. That was a lot of fun.
But yeah, just never really grew up with. And I don't get a ton of people asking me to draw them.
And I mean, like looking at Scoot's comics on his shelf, he's got 2 Batman trades and a Justice League, but what they are, they're the unwrapped. So we bought him the David Finch of Batman unwrapped, so we can just look at the pencils. And then we found the Andy Kubert one, and then we found a Jim Lee one. So it was more of just the art side of it than actually the characters.
Yeah. And I've explained before, like that's why Brad does most of the talking, because he's done the research. He reads comics all the time. He knows the backstories about backstories, and whereas I am not as familiar with them. Like I can talk to you about comics, and I can hold my own a little bit, but I don't read a ton because I spend more time drawing. And when I do look at comics, I spend a lot of time looking at the art, trying to figure out how they're telling a story and perspectives. So
And then,
my time is spent more studying than it is reading.
and that's don't get me wrong, when I read, I am studying, but
Yeah, for sure.
Whenever Scoot goes full time, that's one of the things I've told him. Like, the joke is at one point, me and our other brother Bear were trying to figure out how we could just pay Scoot out of our like income so he could do art full time. And I was like, oh, if Scoot's my employee, he's gonna have metrics like it's corporate, and it's like, you got to do this many pages a month, this many commissions, you have to do this. And one of his metrics was, you have to read this many comics and tell me what you thought about them.
Yeah.
So if he ever did that,
Which I would do. Like I definitely want to read more comics, because the main reason I want to draw comics, well, one, first is because I love to draw, and then second is because I love the characters. And I love the art of comic book storytelling.
I think it's a similar way of, like, I say I wish I could play more video games, but I sacrifice video games to pursue writing, because instead of sitting and playing video games for, I guess, comics and fitness are my things, and I don't have time for video games because I don't make time for video games. Yeah. So
yeah, I have comics and I love comics. I have comics that, if I had a house fire, I would risk coming in to save, because they're really important to me. I'm not like Brad, where he's out, in the comic stores every week and
I have 3 different Google Docs that one is single issues, one's trades, and one stuff I'm looking for specifically.
Which again, if this was my full-time job, I probably would have more like that because I would love that. But my free time is better off spent pursuing my craft than it is going and chasing down research for the craft, if that makes sense.
It does for sure. It's kind of like when we first got into skateboarding, we watched a lot of skate videos, and as we skated more, we watched less.
Yeah.
Because we were out trying to practice.
I miss skateboarding.
Oh yeah. I'm not doing anything active.
I think I'm gonna call it on his face for now. I'm gonna come back to it. I think it's okay, but there's a lot of lines I'm not sure about.
Looks good.
And I want to finish this little tentacle head up here.
Speaking of lore, do you know what his tentacles are made out of?
Nope.
Sure, it's carbonadium or something. How you pronounce it? It looks like carbon, but it's got extra letters in it. Oh, that's what you're gonna get John Allison to sign for me. He said he got Steeple #1.
Oh,
dude,
cool.
So I've been on a John Allison kick. So I read all 16 volumes of Giant Days over the past week and a half, and I've got all like 10 or so volumes of Bad Machinery on the way, and By Night Volume 2 and something else. That guy, let's talk about like change. So our stuff. John Allison may be one of the greatest writers I've ever had, and like he doesn't write superhero comics. He just writes kind of like slice of life or magical realism, where it's like, yeah, these are just people who live in like a coastal town in England, but demons come out of the ocean every night, and this priest fights them, and it's just this weird mix. So it's a lot of fun, but his dialogue, like I was taking pictures and posting like funny quotes from Giant Days on Instagram, and I had to stop because it is just so funny, just so quick-witted and so humorous, and Max Sarin's art is so good. And I noticed him is like he breaks the average. Like they say, Scott Snyder said the average is, or no, not Scott Snyder. Dave Philpott said the average is 5 to 6 panels per page, and like Giant Days has like 9 per page, almost all, because it's just quick conversations back and forth.
Yeah.
And so good, so fun, and man, like it felt good reading. Like I hadn't reread Giant Days since I originally read it. I remember like 2 years ago when it ended, like being super sad because it was like my favorite ongoing comic. And then I was actually meant to message you, Aaron, because there's a bunch of things that they make like funny, like British stereotypes, and I was like, I need to email him and see if this is just like them playing it up, like us joking about like every American having a gun when they're born and stuff, or if this is like legit stuff. But even just, I like it for the subtlety of it. Like I've always said, if I had to write like a British character or something, I'd probably get one of our international friends. Like I'd say, here's my dialogue. Here is what I say is what I want it to say. Can you rewrite the dialogue? Because as terrible as my British accent is, like it's so painful when you read somebody who doesn't know how British people talk, or learned it through like Hollywood, and you're like, oh, but like even my favorite thing, the subtle thing is like one of the characters is going through like a hard time, and they asked where he was, and he's like, I was just on the roof having a think. And like, if we said that, we'd say, hey, we were up there alone with our thoughts.
Yeah. And
it's just such a subtle difference where it's not a let's throw a bloody, or I don't know, whatever else people say when they want somebody to be English. And it's the subtle dialogue in it. It's just so good. It's so natural and flows so well. I love it. Oh, Yorkshire. Okay, there we go. Oh, I did not know that. So I follow John Allison. He's Bad Machinery on Instagram. Saw him doing sketches, which would be awesome. Yeah, so I haven't read any of Bad Machinery, so I'm looking forward to that. I read Wicked Things, which was the follow. A lot of them take place in the same universe, but I haven't read Scary Go Round either. But that guy could literally he writes so good. His characters are so fun. Like Wicked Things was like junior detectives at this detective convention trying to figure stuff out. Super fun. Steeple is like this weird, like it's like positive Christianity and Satanism. So it's like it's got both sides where it like plays both Satanism and stuff, but it's also like weird, like I said, monsters coming out of the woods trying to fight people, trying to fight this priest and take over his land. And oh, cool! I didn't know you were from that. Awesome, that makes it even cooler. Like, there's no comics in Memphis, so that's why Scoot and I write them.
Yeah,
Try to write them in Memphis. But yeah, his style of writing is so fun. And I love his art style too. He's got a really, really great art style that works, of course, well with his writing style as well. So like he did a couple like Lisa Treyman, I think is her name, drew the first 6 issues of Giant Days. Then Max Sarin drew the next like almost all of the other 48 or so, except I think 2 issues somebody else did. And then John Allison would come off of his like come down from Olympus and like draw an issue every once in a while and just knock it out of the park, or draw like a special issue. Super fun stuff. Like when you tell people like what's Giant Days about, and you're like, oh, it's about these 3 girls going through college, and weren't they in Sheffield or something like that? I thought that's where I feel bad. I know their names at least. But he it sounds dumb, like you're like, I don't want to read about kids in college, but it's super fun. And the relation, maybe I'm trying to think of a better example of like a main cast relationship development. How, and I mean that not like romantic, but all relationships, like how like Ed is infatuated with Esther at the beginning, but it kind of, he realizes it's like this one-sided crush that'll never succeed, so he's kind of moves on. And then 2 childhood friends who hated each other because one got dumped, end up together, and then they break up because of legit reasons. It's not just it's like it's very real world and feels legit, but then he also has it go just a little crazy, so that's a fun comic. It's so good. I can't. It's definitely, whenever you go full time, I'm like, read, because you can read those trades in 30-45 minutes. They're so fluid, so fun, and just continue. So I guess because in England it seems you only go to college for 3 years, and so it follows them through their 3 years of college, except for Susan. She's a doctor, so she's got many more years. But yeah, it's super fun, and it's one of those where it'll probably end up being one of those things I reread every year, just because it's such a solid series. And I was sad Wicked Things only lasted 6 issues. He said quite literally a cesspit of a town. They make quite a few jokes at its expense in there. But if you can't joke about your own hometown, what can you do?
at one time, Memphis was the murder capital of the U.S.
Yeah, I think we still hover there sometimes. Yeah, it's a super solid. It's so good. Like reading it is, especially like with the series I'm writing, Wilder Talents, how fast paced the dialogues and how back and forth it is. It's almost like the comic version of like Kevin Smith or Tarantino, where they live and die on their dialogue, and definitely lives and dies on its dialogue. And it never, like, somebody reviewed it. One of the reviews for Giant Days is every issue of Giant Days is my favorite until the next one comes out. And it's true. And they also they had a whole issue where Esther is like this great like goth character, and she's taking like she's getting like an English literature degree, and so she writes her dissertation on the great American novel and makes fun of it. It's like the whole issue makes fun of it. She's like goes into like this acid trip and talks to an American bald eagle. It's great, because I hate the idea of like the great American novel where you're supposed to, where really all it is like Americans trying to recapture the adventure of the old world, but in America. and it just gets so repetitive where it's like, I started in a small town and I traveled this place and I did this and this. You're like, okay, I get it. You took a vacation. Everybody does.
Yeah.
And so it was great making fun of it. I've had painful shits. I've liked more than Sheffield. That sounds like Martin, Tennessee. We used to call going to Martin getting grounded because it was so awful. I didn't know it was that bad. Oh my god. Didn't go up there and join the Black Metal Society like Esther did. Man, I hope if we go to Thought Bubble, John Allison, if he's there, I'm gonna fanboy hard. Bring him my issue 1 that I've got of Giant Days. He said I've somehow destroyed this booth piece in maybe 4 hours. Like we'll usually get a picture from Corey where he's like, hey, I started, and there's like 1 or 2 little lines of ink, and then like an hour later he's like, I made progress. You're like, dude, you're 70% done.
Yeah.
All right, Scoot, you got 14 minutes to wrap her up.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah. You go to Sheffield University to get a degree in a drug addiction.
God.
God. Oh my god. So you're telling me I shouldn't go back to school and study abroad there? Also like his stereotype of Australians and German people in it. Always a good time. Well, Abby, what are you doing? Yeah, so I'm looking forward to, like I said, I read By Night, I enjoyed it. I've read both volumes of Steeple, really enjoyed that. Read the 6 issues of Wicked Things. Really wish that had kept going. And so I'm looking forward to Bad Machinery for sure. And I think I'm pretty certain based on his website, he's continuing Steeple on his Patreon until it like gets to trade form and then he's publishing it. So that, I hope so, because it was a fun story that he did not wrap up. One day we'll just when Scoot goes full time, what he'll do is he'll just start at the end. He'll start at Albatross Comics with Nam Wolf. It's about a werewolf in Vietnam War, and he'll go all the way to, gosh, what is the end of my it's like Zuda Comics. And it's High Moon, which, funny enough, is it's a western about werewolves. So werewolves on either end.
Get behind some work.
Oh my god, he said my friend went there for a year. Her housemate was eating fish and chips at the table with ketchup on the side and a line of Coke to wash it down with.
Ugh.
So first of all, maybe they're used to it. First of all, ketchup is gross. I don't like ketchup. But the fish and chips I had when I was in England were so much better than the fish and chips here. They needed nothing except just to eat them. It was baller. Why would you bastardize that with ketchup? I would rather do the line of Coke than the ketchup.
Oh.
Not really, because I don't those things, but now I'm gonna make Captain Sheffield, trying to change the bring that place up, make it a better home for all the college kids. Is that there's a stereotype built into that? Oh, well, if it's anything like, I forget where I went, but at the time, my girlfriend and I at the time were like, we're not much like foodies. Like I used to work at restaurants. I hate every time I go on vacation, they say, hey, what restaurants are you going to? Because there's this and this and this. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going to like museums and parks and shit. Like, I don't care about food. Food is just to keep me alive. But every once in a while, like we went to Chicago, you make sure you have Chicago deep dish pizza. You know, wherever you go, you try to get there one thing. We're like, all right, well, they said fish and chips are good, so let's do that. And we looked it up, and there was like the top 10 fish and chip places in London, and I forget where it was, but one was within walking distance and probably a couple of miles. And we were not disappointed. It was a tiny little spot, but it was magnificent. That fish, like that was a whole damn fish they gave me. That thing was huge. Many ichthys died to bring me this meal.
Fish and hot Cheetos.
Fish and hot Cheetos. Different chips.
Like, where are the chips at?
Don't be that guy.
You're lying like shit in line.
The game. What up, the game, dude? Scoots
What
over
up?
there, like thinking he's at McAllister's where they give you baked lays. He's like,
Yeah.
they promised me chips. This is bullshit. I'm leaving.
Take me back to America. Rather have my food that can kill me.
Oh my god. This is fish and chips. It's all butter and sugar.
Basically.
A local chippy. Okay. Well, see, that's what we need. We got tour guides when we go. That's what we land in London. We all pack up and roll out.
We'd be like, hey, so where can we get some good fish and chips? Oh, there's this really good place of it. All right, cool. We'll see you guys at the convention tomorrow.
Oh, Spazzy. Nice to see you, man.
Hey, Spazzy, what's up, man? It's been a while.
I loved how they're, because they always like some stereotypes ringing true. And like when we were in London, the World Cup was coming, and everyone had a sign like, make your reservations or you're not gonna have a seat. And they were all like booked out. Folks were awesome. Everybody was nice to me except for the one Indian guy in the tube. He yelled at me because I bought a ticket for a tube station that was closed, that I didn't realize was closed until he told me it was closed. And I was very nice to him until he refunded me my money, and then I told him to go fuck himself.
He's like, what the hell's that mean?
That might have been the only, I told that story to Dad. It might have been the only time I ever dropped an F-bomb in front of him.
That's hilarious.
And
He loved it.
cracked up. Because yeah, like growing up Southern, you don't cuss in front of your parents too often, especially when you're younger. And I told him that story, and he lost it because I was just, we're Americans. We don't know about mass transit.
Sure don't.
We're like, what's that bus doing? Is that carrying people? You mean you don't go in there and just get stabbed? Like, what is that? What's that? You can take a tube? I did see somebody do something once in London that I would love to try. It's where you ride the tube to a certain point, and then the door opens, and you sprint out from the underground, and you race it to the next station, and you have to run and try to beat it and get back on the train, and like, that sounds like a fun running challenge to me. The dude did it. It was awesome.
All right, we're gonna wrap this one up.
Right.
If they have time, you want to do the questions?
Save it for the next one.
Okay,
I'm tired.
that's fine. We had something fun planned we were gonna do at the beginning of the show, but
Basically the newlywed game, if you know
Yeah.
what we're talking about.
a lot of people weren't in here yet, so we'll save it for next time. Long story short, I got interviewed for a website,
Comic website.
a comic website, and I'm gonna be their featured artist, and they asked me some super honored.
We'll be sure to share a link.
Link will be shared.
Dude, I saw this. I'm pretty sure dude was like an Olympic sprinter or something who beat the station. It was awesome. But no, I've been on a lot of metros. Harris's was all right, but it was really just a big circle. The subway in New York was hot, but the tube was easy to navigate, and until you go to Tokyo, and theirs is just a modern marvel. Their subway system is just something else.
All right, so we're gonna call this right here. for now. Again, I'm probably going to revisit it. Not revisit it, but revamp some parts. But it's fun enough.
He said, which site interviewed you? Was it RedTube?
Yeah, it was Pornhub.com.
That's where we're streaming from now on.
Let me find the site real quick. Hold on, Aaron. All right, we're back.
Doc Ock is kind of doing a good.
Kind of looks like a.
He's doing Darth Sidious.
Hold on, let's jump back to this real quick. So this looks like kind of a thick-jawed Brad.
Oh, now I know my costume for next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Superior Spider-Man.
There you go. The website. Hold on. Oh god, I got a bunch of messages.
Who are you texting? Everyone you know is here.
No, it's new subscribers and new followers and likes on Space Venom. The website is called Comic Book Fiend Club, and they have an Instagram page that has 12.7 thousand followers. So I think that's pretty cool.
How many followers?
12.7 thousand.
Almost as many as you got by the end of the year.
I don't think so.
Who's gonna have to start sharing Seaborn's page to help him get
I'm
more
currently
followers?
at 3,778 followers. Yep, there's that.
Well, as Forrest Gump said, pretty tired. I think I'll go home now.
I think I'll stay home now because I'm at home.
Yeah, I'll drive 45 minutes home in the dark.
Pornhub, is that where Corey streams from?
Oh my god, who said that?
Spazzy did. Best drawing streams on Cornhub.
All
Thanks,
right.
man. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, so we're this may be the shortest stream by a few minutes, but that's all good.
Yeah, another
We
one.
worked today. I've been up since 5:30. Sure,
Oh.
Brad's been up since 4 something.
4:15, and I did a Murph.
Oh, Murph Biscuit, rest
No.
in peace.
Where you run a mile and then you do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats, then run another mile. It's super fun.
Brad's really fit. I'm not. So yeah. Anyway, we will. Oh, and since we're we won't streaming until next week. You guys wish Brad a happy birthday. His birthday will be on November 4th. So he will be turning 34. 34 years old.
87,
Because
baby.
I'm 35 and we're super close together. So
Yeah.
Brad's birthday will be on November 4th this year. This week.
This week, yeah.
This week.
Sometime.
So yeah. Yep. Getting out of here too, Matt. Take it
Yep.
easy, guys. We will see you guys at some point next
Uh-oh.
week.
I'll race you, Hayashi.
Not
Springtime of youth.
not 100% sure when we'll be streaming next, but we'll let you guys know. So until then, go do all the following. Go give us a thumbs up, all that shenanigans. So we'll see you guys next week at some point. Holla.